3 months, along with those who have had it not, and for those with children, their period shall be they bring forth their burden, and whosoever keepeth his duty to Allah, he maketh his course easy. Now, the tafsir writers confirm that this is talking about children. That verse is talking about children. Al-Jalalain says it, Ibn Kathir says it, I can list a few of them if you want me to. But what do you think about this? Do you think they're okay and correct in their translation of that?
Well, you've mentioned verse 3. Verse 4 is وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنِ. You didn't actually mention it properly. The
reason why I didn't mention that is solely because the tafsir writers have said this is referring to young children.
But you're mentioning verse 3, 65:3.
No, sorry. If I said, I apologize. If I said 65 verse 3, I apologize. It was 65 verse 4.
No, you just read out 65 verse 3.
Yeah. Okay. And I've just said, if I said 65 verse 3,
fine.
I apologize. I meant 65 verse 4. Now 65 verse 4.
Thank you for apologizing.
I've already done it.
You might be doing a lot more of that today.
You can get big-headed as you want, I don't care.
That's fine, good. So
it's not really a good trait, is it, man?
It's no problem.
It's not a good trait, man.
Okay.
You need to humble yourself a bit. You know that book?
Thank you for
humbles yourself a bit?
Thank you for your advice, my friend. Thank you. No problem.
I always give advice. I'm always here to give advice.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's what it is, man. And I hope you come to Jesus, bro.
I'll need your barber's number so I can give him a couple of pointers and pieces of advice as well.
Do you?
The one who does your hair.
That's funny, because I need somebody to deal with your hair, man. It's fine. I'm fine.
Anyway, so I'll say, look.
Okay, so
in regards to what you've said, I think there's an element.
As I've said, Al-Jalalain, Ibn Kathir, and every tafsir writer I've claimed claims that the verse in question is referring to an iddah. That iddah is the period of waiting for divorce, right?
Agreed.
And that period of waiting for divorce, 3 months, is for children as well.
I'll tell you the truth.
So your God is okay with marrying children?
Okay, no, it's fine. Let me answer your question.
What?
It's true to say that if you read the tafasir and the exegesis of chapter 64 verse 4, especially on the part where it says وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنِ, it does mention women that are pregnant, it does mention post-mortem women, but it also does women that have never had a period before. That's true. And if someone tries to do inkar of that or reject that, then they will be...
And it mentions children as well.
Well, I'm saying women that have never had a period before.
It doesn't say women, it says children. Ibn Kathir clearly says it mentions children. Do you want me to read it out again?
No, fine.
I'll read it out to you.
I'm telling you, listen.
Allah the Exalted clarifies the waiting period of the woman in menopause, and that it is one whose menstruation has stopped due to her older age. Can I finish?
Do you know why it says women?
Can I finish?
The verse says women.
Can I finish? Can I just finish? Can I allow my place? Then you talk. Right? I'll give you all the time.
Go ahead.
And that is one of those whose menstruation has stopped due to her old age. Her iddah, waiting period for divorce, is 3 months.
Who's iddah?
Who's iddah? This is waiting period for divorce.
No, but it says her iddah.
Her iddah.
Yeah, who's
this
her?
Is referring to the woman in menopause.
Woman.
Woman. And now let me read the rest of it. Right? Her iddah is 3 months. Instead of the 3 monthly cycles for those who menstruate, which is based upon the ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah. The same for the young who have not reached the years of menstruation.
Accept.
Their iddah is 3 months. So you can marry and divorce children in Islam.
Okay, let me answer your question, right? No, let me understand. First of all, the verse itself says "min nisaikum," from your women,
Right.
So women is. You've asked me where the verse itself mentions women,
And this is mentioning young children. So you got a problem with the early tafsir.
Let me ask you. Yes, no, I don't have a problem with them. No, I don't.
You say don't?
No, I don't have a problem.
So when they say young child,
are you asking me a question now? Or are you just going to
continue?
All right. So let me answer your question, right? So it's true to say that.
When I'm ready.
All right. No, it's fine. It's true to say that aqdun nikah.
Right.
The aqdun nikah is a marital contract.
Right.
Can be done with anybody at any age.
Of course,
Yes? This is something which you didn't know that. But the sexual interaction...
No, I did know that, mate.
Okay, fine. Maybe you didn't know it. You're a great scholar of Islam.
But you go on like you're a great scholar, mate. Let's be honest.
Fine.
Let's not crack wires,
Fine.
Okay,
no problem.
Go on.
So what I'm saying is, scholars of Islam differentiate between two things.
Right.
They differentiate between aqdun nikah, which is a contract, and when, for example, the woman can engage in sexuality.
What scholars are these, bro?
And let me tell you what the evidence for that is.
No, what scholars are these? Are they
example,
early, like Ibn Kathir?
Yeah.
So what are they? Do you know the names?
Yes.
Can I write them down?
Yes.
Let's get the names.
Let me get you the names. For example, An-Nawawi mentions that in his Sharh of Hadith, where he mentions the hadith of why the Prophet ﷺ married Aisha. He done the aqdun nikah at the age of 6, and then he consummated at the age of 9.
What years after Hijra is it?
Pardon?
What years after Hijra is it?
400 and something. I don't know, 440 maybe.
Right.
Yeah, after Hijri. I don't know exactly.
And Al-Nawawi was his name.
It's An-Nawawi, yeah. For example, do you know who else mentions it? For example, Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi mentions it in his book.
Ibn Qudama.
Yeah, Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi mentions it. So basically, the Hanbali scholars. What I'm saying to you is this: it's pretty much understood in Islam that you can do a contract of marriage, but that contract of marriage is not efficacious in the fullest sense until the woman is able to consummate the marriage. And that capability, which is referred to as istita'a in the books of jurisprudence, is mentioned as physical capability. So let me explain. No, it's a good point.
Hijab, you did say.
Yeah, I know. Let me explain.
If you read the Quran on its own,
fine.
You could literally marry a child.
I accept.
That was your word.
I accept. So you could argue the point that it's most explicit in the hadith. Why can you argue the point that it's most explicit in the hadith?
Right.
Because
it's only mentioned in the hadith.
Let me tell you why it can be alluded to in the Quran, but it's mostly mentioned in the hadith. For number one, the scholars of Islam, the jurisprudential scholars, because really you have to differentiate between the exegetes and the jurisprudence. Yeah, fiqh and tafsir are two different things.
So what's wrong with the exegetes?
So no, there's nothing wrong with them. No, what they're saying is right. What they're saying. No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I've not said that. Right. All I've said is that they're saying that the contract can be done, but that it's not efficacious in the fullest sense, where intercourse between the two parties can happen until the woman is ready.
So
how do we know that?
Who makes this stipulation?
So they, like I said, the Islamic scholars, they deducted it from the fact that the Prophet
Muhammad and Allah don't make this stipulation.
Yes, they do. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Where's Muhammad?
So as I said, they look at it from the fact, the scholars look at it from the fact that he married at the age of 6, that there was a marital contract, but that he did not do jima', or he did not do intercourse, so there was no intimacy until 3 years. 9. Exactly. Yeah. So they look at that and they say, well, that's good evidence that even though no, it's not correction, it's called specification. So it's good evidence for the fact that the contract can be put in place, however, that it's not efficacious until the person becomes capable. Now, how do we know? Who determines?
Who determines whether she's capable?
Good. That's a good question.
There's also hadith that claim that silence means her consent.
Good. No.
And also, we see instances within hadith. I'm not misunderstanding anything. We see instances within hadith.
How do you know?
I know because I've read it. Right.
What's the hadith?
We see instances within the hadith where Aisha's taken by Muhammad and he beats her.
Okay.
Beats her till she's
now that's a different topic.
So if science
I reject that.
I reject that. You reject.
Yeah, I reject it.
So you reject hadith.
No, I reject your understanding of it. Let me go back to the first point.
So beating her till she's green is my understanding, correct?
Wallahi, if you find me any hadith that says that the Prophet ﷺ, I dare you to find one single hadith where the Prophet ﷺ beat Aisha when she's green. You're a liar. You are a liar. Hold on. Second thing is, let's get to Christianity in a second, yeah? But we're
not getting to Christianity.
No.
Then we'll go to Christianity.
Fine.
I don't mind.
Fine. Let's deal with Islam first, because we don't have anything to hide. I'm saying to you now, the first thing is, you stated, what is the evidence? I told you that the scholars of jurisprudence say that
100 years after the Prophet and your God.
No, I understand, but it's true. That's true. However, what's also
so there's nothing in your surah. If I took the Quran down, the Quran itself says in chapter 15, verse 1, that it is a clear book. So if I took the Quran on its own, I could literally rape a child.
No. Hold on. Let me answer your question.
Why is that funny? That's your religion.
No. Fine. Let me answer your question.
Your religion is
calm down, guys. Calm down, guys. There's nothing to. Guys, you're interfering. You're interfering, and don't interfere, please. Yeah. Let's answer his question directly. As I've said, the hadith is that. Number 2 hadith, which is very important, is that which mentioned in Nawawi's 40 hadith as well, which is la darar wa la dirar, which is that you're not allowed to cause harm or reciprocate harm. Now, the scholars of
Sunan and the side, by the way. So continue. Sorry.
It's also mentioned in the 40 hadith. Okay.
No. I'm talking about the striking hadith.
I understand. Okay, it's also mentioned in Sahih Muslim. You didn't know that.
You didn't know that. You said, show me where.
No, not green. Not green. There's nothing about greenery in hadith.
So he beat her, but nothing about green.
No, I know what hadith.
So it's okay if he beats her.
No, I didn't say that. I said that the hadith I know you're referring to is mentioned in Sahih Muslim.
He beat his wife, basically.
Did I say that?
No.
Did I say that? Okay, well, the people are watching you in disingenuity, right? I didn't say that I agree with the
How am I being indisingenuous?
Speak properly. Can't got your tongue, boy.
Yeah, has literally got my tongue.
Can't got your tongue. No, speak.
No, I'll give you that.
Speak.
Indisingenuous. I wasn't being indisingenuous.
Okay, no, it's not disingenuous. It's disingenuous, yeah?
I wasn't being disingenuous.
Okay, so your disingenuity is for all to see.
I wasn't being disingenuous.
Okay, let me be clear. All right, fine, let me answer your question. Fine, let me answer your
children and the soil.
Are you afraid to hear my response?
I'm not afraid of your response.
Fine, let me.
I've got no response.
Okay,
Go on.
okay. I've got my. You're not afraid of my response, but I've got no response.
You've got no response.
Okay, so let me respond. My response is this: is that the scholars of Islam, they consider one of the major objectives of Islam as not to cause or reciprocate harm unless there is injunction in the text.
And who are these scholars? They're later than your prophet. So how can we know?
They base it.
No, one minute. How can we know at the time of your prophet?
Yeah.
If we're at the time of prophet, how can we know that those same people believe that you had to wait a certain period to have sex with a child?
Okay, they did.
Bearing in mind, your own prophet.
No, we don't agree with what you just said.
Sex with a child?
No, we don't. Listen, we don't agree with what you just said.
You don't agree with it. That's what
let me answer your question.
Go on.
To answer your question, the scholars of Islam, they look at like a Shatibi mentions in Muwafaqat, right? He says that in order to understand an objective of Sharia, you don't look at just one piece of evidence, you look at the combined pieces of evidence. So in the case of this principle of causing or the principle of causing and reciprocating harm is not as a result, he mentions, or the principle is ad-darar yuzal, that harm is to be averted. This is a principle in Islam. Unless there's enough.
Who was that principle sent down?
No, I'm telling you.
How can we know that it was sent from Mohammed?
Okay, you asked me a question. Can I answer it, please?
Go on.
Yeah, fine. So Shatibi mentions in Kitab Muwafaqat that in fact principles like this are more voracious than one piece of evidence, and the reason why he says is because it combines all pieces of evidence. So, for example, in this case, there's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad where he said himself.
Seems like a load of words.
Okay, fine. Maybe you don't understand it, but maybe
you're not bringing any points. That's the point.
So let me just say my words, and then you can say what you want. So the Prophet Muhammad he mentioned the hadith, la darar wa la dirar. There is no harming or reciprocating harm. And he mentioned another hadith, la darar wa la idrar. So it's another way of saying the same thing, but with more emphasis on reciprocating the harm.
So no bringing harm. Is that no reciprocating harm?
Yeah.
So why did your prophet harm Aisha?
I'm explaining to you that there's no evidence of that.
I just hold
on.
He said,
hold on.
so you got a black shape that I saw in front of me, and he said, yes.
Yeah.
He struck me in the chest, which caused me pain. Then he said, did you think that Allah and his messenger would do unjustly with you? I said, whatever the people conceal, he knows. Sahih Sunnah and the Sahih Hadith 2039.
Okay, let me answer it.
So you've been exposed.
No, I haven't been exposed. Let me answer you.
According to Mohammed, it's okay to beat somebody.
Would you like me to answer you? All right, fine. First and foremost,
you're not helping yourself.
First and foremost, Aisha herself, who's in the narrator of that hadith, mentioned in another hadith.
So that means it's wrong.
Can you let me speak?
Continue.
All right. So Aisha, who's the narrator of that particular hadith, who supposedly said he struck me in my chest to cause me harm, which I reject the translation of, because if you bring the Arabic, it's not darabani. He didn't mention that at all. The word daraba is not even mentioned in the hadith. Just to let you know.
Let's just hide behind the Arabic.
It's not hide. No, just calm down. Calm down. Just let me finish. First of all, the word.
You're not bringing any points.
The word.
It's just like telling me you're Arabic.
You're not listening.
See, now you're starting. You can see what's happening here, right?
It's okay. Let him
I'm
still gonna fall. He's still gonna fall.
Go on, continue. I'm shaking, Your prophet shook.
Okay. So you're trying to be disrespectful. We're not trying to be disrespectful. We're trying to point.
It's hadith.
Let me deal with the points. You're going to another tangential point.
Go to the point.
First of all, the hadith inside Muslim, does not mention darabani, and I challenge you, which means hit, to strike or whatever, which is mentioned in 434, the same word. Fadribuhun. That's not even mentioned in the hadith. So I challenge you to find the opposite of that. Number two.
It's not my problem.
No. And then I'll give you something which is hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. The second thing, which is even more damning for you, is that Aisha herself. Just let me finish the point. I know. Okay. Can you see?
I said I'm not talking.
Can you see? He's anxious. He's very anxious.
I'm really not. This is the funniest stuff.
Would you like a beta blocker?
Would you?
No, I'm alright.
I think you need one.
I'm not the one who's.
You sound like a beta male right now.
Sorry?
I said you sound like a beta male right now.
Beta blocker means a propranolol. It's a drug that brings your heart rate down.
I don't need any of that, mate.
Maybe you do. Okay, look, you're shaking and shivering.
So if Mohammed shook and quivered,
only if there's an extraneous variable which substantiates the shaking.
So revelation, him sweating and shaking.
Yeah, he met God. You're meeting me.
He met God. How do you know I'm not meeting God? How do you know I'm not meeting God? How do you know I haven't got God inside?
Muhammad met a demon.
He met God. You're meeting me.
How do you know that I'm not receiving revelation from Allah?
All right.
How do you know that I'm not receiving revelation from Allah?
Fine. Can we go to the point?
How do you know?
Can we go to the point?
No, you brought up the shaking. So how do you know I'm not receiving revelation?
Listen, you're running away. You are running away.
You're the one's running away.
Okay, let me make the point.
So I'm showing your prophet shook.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
So it's no problem.
Okay.
So if he's not a problem, I'm no problem.
See, look how he's talking.
Okay, let's run.
Second point.
He's running away.
Second point is that Aisha herself said the Prophet never hit one of his wives. In a hadith that's narrated upon her in Bukhari, she said that the Prophet never hit any of his wives.
So the hadiths contradict each other.
No, they don't, because you look the word.
What do you mean they don't? He struck her.
Okay, no, let me explain. If your translation of the hadith,
It's not my translation. It's Muslims. It's not me. I didn't make this
well,
up.
I'm translating the hadith for
Everything
you. I'm a
Muslim
Muslim,
is
right?
wrong. The
Irrelevant.
websites, the
You're one
hadiths,
Muslim.
Even this isn't
And there's a
the
lot of
Sahih
Muslims.
hadith.
One minute, guys, yeah.
Even Sahih
There's many
al-Bukhari
Muslims
is
that
wrong.
disagree with you. Mohammed.
Websites are wrong. Sahih al-Bukhari is wrong.
So you're not the judge of jurisprudence over.
Everyone can see the desperation in the air.
You're not the judge.
I'll let you squirm.
You're not the
Please
judge.
squirm.
Mohammed
Please
Hijab is
squirm.
not the judge of
Squirm in
jurisprudence.
front of me.
Threw the hadith under the
I
bus.
enjoy it.
He just threw the
I enjoy
hadith
it.
under the
Look how he's
bus.
squaring.
Sahih hadith, he just
I'm
threw
not-
it under the
hey,
bus.
Look how they're both squirming.
Hijab,
Son,
Hijab.
how are you, sir? You okay?
Hijab.
Are you done?
I'm
Are
not scared of you.
Are you squirming?
I'm not scared of you.
You're quivering and shaking and you're
I'm not
squirming.
scared of you.
And your guy is
I'm gonna be honest,
shouting.
ever since I've come to this park for 2 years, and you saw me 2 years ago, right? I've always done this. I've always done this.
Everything in Islam
about
is
everybody.
false.
And it's recorded.
Just
So I'm not
throw
scared
it
of
under
you.
the
Alright,
bus.
fantastic.
We're not all scared of you.
Alright,
Maybe these
fantastic.
are, but
Throw
I'm not
Islam
scared of
under
you.
No problem. And we're done here.
So continue with your
So
point.
my point is 3 steps. That is just to answer your question. Yeah. If your point is that if you look at the Quran alone, without reference to the Hadith, can you justify intercourse with prepubescents,
Yes.
or would you have a stronger argument? I'll say you would have a stronger argument. Without the hadith, but we don't accept the Quran without the hadith. That's why we look at the Quran and the hadith.
So
and,
then the Quran only
upon doing
goes
so,
with
it
the
What hadith says that you cannot have sex?
doesn't. That's not how the hadith works. Just to let you know. No,
So no hadith says that you cannot have sex with a minor.
No, hold on.
So
You
hadith
said
doesn't say
according to the
that.
hadith we cannot have sex with you. That's what you said.
No, what I'm saying is the hadith works in the following way. It's not just like it. You have to have, for example, a saying. So the actions of the Prophet are also considered to be something that we the Muslims follow. The sayings of the Prophet, the iqrar of the Prophet, or what the Prophet affirms or doesn't affirm. This is what
So
is.
we can interpret our own traditions the way we want, and if we don't like something, we'll just reinterpret it.
No, I mean even you accept
That's
the same.
your religion.
Hold on.
That's your religion.
Calm down, man. Calm down.
Go on.
So anyway, well now you have to be disingenuous, right?
I'm being disingenuous. That's just the same old
No
argument
problem.
again.
Okay.
It's not
So
disingenuous.
now
you
that
don't
we're-
interpret your religion how
Just
you
to-
want,
just to sum-
and anybody who says it's paedophile is wrong and a Catholic. So
Okay,
anyway.
just to summarize the point, yeah, you asked the question
Yeah, go on.
about chapter 65, verse 4. I did not negate the fact that some scholars of exegesis and hermeneutics have said in the past that this refers to prepubescence.
The ink of the Ummah, Ibn Abbas said it.
And listen,
It is called the ink of the Ummah for a reason.
Sorry?
The ink of the Ummah, Ibn Abbas said it.
Okay,
Right?
fine.
Jalalain says it.
Okay, no.
Ibn Kathir says it.
that sahih?
What did I just hear me say?
So you don't deny that.
I just said I don't deny the
Would
fact.
you say they're wrong on that fact?
No, I didn't say that they're wrong either.
You didn't say they're
What
wrong.
I said is the way this is to be understood
Right.
is that there is a contract can be done before, but that the woman when she gets to an age of puberty now she has a choice, and the evidence of that is what the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al bikru to then," that the virgin or the person who's not been married before has to be asked permission before marriage. That's an evidence the Prophet's saying.
Have you got a hadith for that? I need
Yeah, it's called al bikru to then, and I'm saying it
Can
to you
you
in
quote
Arabic.
the hadith?
Yeah, al
can
bikru
you-
to then, which is mentioned in Bukhari.
What I need you to do is like later, like show me a link or
Fine,
something because
fine.
I need that. Actually
No problem.
to
Which
look
is why
up.
Shawkani and others have said that.
You can just say it. We'll catch it on
Anyway,
camera.
look,
Just say the reference.
Yeah. He's already said it.
I've just said it. So fine. So that's number one. Number two, we've said now, harming is not okay. So someone can ask the question which you did and I didn't answer it. So let me answer it now. You said how do you determine if the person is able or capable for sexual intercourse? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in another hadith, he said, "Man tatabbaba wa lam yakun bit-tibbi ma'rufan fa asaba nafsan fa huwa dhamin." Whoever pretends to be a doctor and he's not actually a doctor, and then he harms somebody, then he is accountable. The Quran also says, "Fas'alu ahli dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun." Go and ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. Meaning here that Islam gives rights to doctors. And
That's
specialists.
nothing to do with what I just said.
Of course it does. Let me tell you why.
Was Muhammad a doctor?
Let me explain what I'm saying.
Go on.
Because the question of harm, especially if we talk about physical harm, it seems to me to be a medicinal issue, right? So the question of, okay, if a person, like for example, she's 50, let's say in this country the consent is 16 years old, right?
Yeah.
All right. You are maybe like 21 years old, right? 22, something like
I'm
that.
27, mate.
All right, you look young, which is very, very nice, yeah? A strapping young man like yourself, you know.
Please don't hit on me.
No,
I am not gay.
Okay, no problem. I'm not hitting on. If that's how you interpret hitting on, that's fine.
I'm joking.
Okay, no problem. No worries. I'm trying to pay you a compliment.
I know.
After all the negative energy.
It's a bit mean-spirited.
No problem. There's no need to apologize. All I'm going to say is that a man like yourself, right? You, for example, can have intercourse with a 16-year-old in this country, okay? Now, if this 16-year-old might be emaciated, this individual might be malnourished, might be weak. You might be able to grab her like this and then the collarbones fall off, right? This might be a weak individual. Now, Islam would say, although it's legally possible for you and, I'm not going to say me, but just anybody to have, let me put it another way, right? You've got a 100-year-old woman.
Right.
And there's no law that prevents me to have intercourse with a 100-year-old. But once again, if I go to the care homes and we're outside and, and then just, no, honestly, and then I get, and then I
Would a 100-year-old know what sex is?
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll be they'll be able to comprehend what sex is.
Yeah.
They would know what marriage is.
Fine.
A 6-year-old girl wouldn't know what marriage is.
No,
a
but 6 is
9-year-old
not-
girl wouldn't know what sex was.
No, let me explain.
Aisha
Bro.
was playing with dolls.
Okay, now hold on. You're going from one thing to another. You're going
Really
from
not. It's
no.
just-
All I'm saying to you
all in the
is,
paradigm of Islam.
all I'm saying to you, the paradigm of Islam says this: if you have intercourse with a 15-year-old, 14-year-old who is before the age of consent, but she's voluptuous and big hips and ready for action, where there's no harm, but then when you have sex with a 99-year-old and you do it with her one time, she drops dead and goes to the graveyard, Islam will say actually one of them is more morally incorrect than the other. And it might not
Islam
be,
would say
do you get
that
it?
silence is a consent. You could have sex
No,
with the old woman, and you could have sex with a
Silence is consent.
15-year-old.
No, it wouldn't.
And in fact, it also says in your hadith that anybody younger than 15 is a child.
No, listen.
If
If by having sex, no, Islam will say if by having sex with a 95-year-old woman or 80-year-old woman, you're going to cause her considerable harm
Yes, you would.
and/or injury, which you would agree with, right?
Yes, you would.
That such a thing would not be allowed in Islam. I'm saying the same thing applies to women who are making their transition to puberty. Do you understand the Islamic concept now? So although legally, for example, if I wanted to have a marriage contract with a 95-year-old, I can. I mean, it's going to be valid. Now, the thing is, it might be valid, but the rights now that I'm going to be owed in a normal marriage contract are not going to be the same. I can't say, the angels are going to be cursing you if you don't give me intercourse every night the way I like it, yeah? So, do you understand?
So explain to me why Mohammed didn't follow these principles, because he married
I'm saying that
6-year-old
Muhammad
girl
sallallahu alaihi wasallam is
and
the
then
one who
had sex
established
with
those
her.
principles.
Hear what I'm saying? She had
Yeah,
sex with her
yeah.
at 9 years old. By the way, if you look in
Yeah,
history,
yeah.
when 9-year-old girls or people, even a bit older than like 13, when they were pregnant, they would die. So your God was okay with your prophet having sex with a child who could potentially
Well,
die.
he said himself, and he's a man of his word. He said, when we're done with Islam, we move to Christianity. I'm
Yeah, I
saying,
don't mind, man.
fine, he doesn't mind because he doesn't. But what I'm saying to you is, all I'm saying to you is as follows: that you said these principles were established by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do you understand this?
According to who?
Now, according to all the fuqaha, according to the
No,
usuliyun.
according to men who came hundreds of years later who didn't even know your
Yeah,
prophet.
okay, no problem. So,
What do you mean no problem?
So,
So your
but
religion
these
doesn't come
individuals-
from Muhammad,
No, hold on.
it doesn't come from Allah,
Come
it
on,
comes from people who
come.
existed hundreds of years later.
No, but what I'm saying is why that's important though. What's your name again?
My name's John.
John.
Yeah, John.
So John, the reason why this is still important is because these individuals are not affected by Western apologetics or liberalism because they came way before.
I'm not even
it.
talking about Western apologetics.
I know, I
I'm talking
understand
about
that.
your God.
No, what I'm saying. Hold on, let me.
I'm
just
questioning
one at a
your
time.
God's morality, that's the point.
What I'm saying to you is this.
Yeah.
I am saying to you clearly that those scholars that came before time, it wouldn't have been socially unacceptable for them to make that proclamation in their times. So they had no motivation to lie upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that manner. In fact, some of their opinions, if we had brought them to the public, would be seen as aberrational to say the least. The point I'm making to you is that yes, there has been a group of scholars that have interpreted the religion of Islam in the way that I've just said. But
What's the age of consent in Islam then? What would you consider it?
there isn't an age of consent in
So
Islam.
why is it there's a hadith that's saying anybody who's younger than 15 is a child?
Okay, so the Malikis, for example, that's the upper limit, not the higher limit.
Right.
So in other words, for the Malikis, there's a difference of opinion here. But for example, if you look at all four madhabs, the Shafi'i, the Malikis, the four madhabs of Islam,
Yeah.
the Hanafis and who else? Who did I mention?
Hanbali, Salah, is it Salah? No, no, Salah.
And the Hanbalis, right? If you look at all those, they have minimum and maximum ages. In fact, for example, Ibn Qudama mentions, the minimum age is 9 years old. Yeah, you can't be an adult. You cannot even be an adult before 9. That's the Shafi'i view and that's the Hanbali view. So
That's actually more wicked than what your prophet's saying.
No.
Because your prophet's basically saying anybody who's younger than 15 is a child. But this guy Hanbali is basically saying as well.
No, let me explain. So do you want to speak properly or not? All right, okay, fine. So what I'm saying to you is this, is that in Islam, certain signs have to be in place in order for someone to be considered an adult.
Right.
Now, there's a difference between there's a difference between taklif, when you'll be morally accountable in Islam, and because there's a hadith that says, what do you call it, rufi al-qalim an thalath, and one of them is that as-sabiyu hatta yahlub, that the pen has been lifted on 3 people. So there's an eschatological dimension, which is that God doesn't hold to account children.
The pen has been. What do you mean the pen that Allah has an eternal that's next to him?
No, this is more of a metaphoric expression. The pen has been lifted, meaning that they're not accountable, right? So the pen has been lifted on 3 sets of people. One of them is the young one until they become pubescent. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, you can be pubescent but not fit for marriage. That's what I'm saying to you. I'm not saying as soon as someone does puberty, they're ready for sex and marriage.
There's hadith that say her silence equals her consent.
Okay, let me explain that hadith, because you mentioned it a few times. Her silence equals her consent means that if you ask her and she does not object, and out of shyness she's quiet, then that is acquiescence.
Can children be shy or mute?
No, I'm not talking about
If
children.
they're in a disturbing, I'm talking about children.
Yeah.
Because Aisha was a child. That's a fact.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
No, that's what the hadith is saying.
What is a child?
A child is somebody who's younger than 15 according to your religion.
Oh, so no, hold on. According to my religion, it's not actually that. Well, I said to you. No. Let me explain. No, it's not true. There's no hadith like that.
Okay.
There's no hadith like that.
Okay.
No, there's no hadith like that.
No, there's no hadith
like
on camera. He said there was no hadith like that.
There's no hadith like that.
Okay.
It's from, as we said, a child stops being a child if one of 4 things happen.
There's no hadith like that. You heard him say that.
No, let me explain. Can I tell you what the 4 things are? Or do you want to know?
No, I'm listening to you.
Do you want to know or not?
Well, I'm going to read this out.
Do you want to know or not?
I'm going to listen. No, I want to know. I know. Go on.
Because at the end of the day, we have to sharpen each other up. If this is the level of argumentation that you're coming with.
Hijab, you told me that there was no hadith mentioning that those younger than 15 are children.
There's no hadith like that.
That's what you told me.
There's no hadith like
so
that.
I'm showing you it.
It's not sahih. It's not authentic.
It's not authentic.
It's not authentic.
Okay then.
Because that would have sealed the conversation. The fuqaha have already told you that childhood ends at one of 4 things. One of 3 things for a male and one of 4 things for a woman. The three things for a male are when there's hair, like pubic hair in the areas and so on. If they have a wet dream, or what's the third one?
So this is Sahih Muslim, 1868. I've actually got a hadith.
And for the woman, it's menstruation. Yeah.
Right.
So these are.
Can I get to the point now and basically just destroy you on this point?
Please,
can I just do that?
Hold on, let me finish.
I mean, come on. I mean,
let me finish.
You just lied to your own people.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
So let me just read this out.
Read the hadith.
Right. Sahih Muslim, 1868. The Messenger of Allah inspected me on the battlefield on the day of Uhud. And I was 14 years old.
Okay.
He did not allow me to take part in the fight. He inspected me on the day of Khandak, and I was 15 years old. Permits me to fight. Nafi said, I came to Umar bin Abd al-Aziz, who was then Caliph, and narrated this tradition to him. He said, surely this is the demarcation between a minor and a major.
Yeah, what is?
A minor's being a child and a major's being someone who's older.
Yeah,
so he wrote to his strict governors that he should pay subsistence allowance to anyone who was 15 years old, but should treat those of less age among children.
Okay, let me explain.
So thank you. You said I was lying, you said I was wrong.
What you said
by your own scholars.
No, hold on, can I explain?
And it's Sahih Muslim, so it's not even Sahih.
What you said.
No, I've already finished this debate.
Okay, fine, you can leave if you like.
No, Steve.
You're more than welcome to leave.
No, because you've already proven that you've lied, basically.
Okay, you said that the Prophet Muhammad said that anyone below the age of 15 is a child. The hadith didn't say that at all.
It literally says that.
No, it doesn't say that. Doesn't say that. No, it doesn't. The hadith does not. No, sorry, excuse me.
Seriously, I've already read it out twice.
Are you done?
Are you done? I've already read it out
No, I'm not
twice.
done. I haven't started yet, actually. So let me answer you.
Continue your point.
The hadith does not state, like you said on camera, and everyone can rewind it and play it and for their own leisure. It doesn't say. The hadith does not say that the Prophet Muhammad said in his words that anyone below the age of 15 is a child. The hadith does not say that. All it says was that you had these 2 boys who, one of them had reached the signs of puberty because of pubic hair and so on, and that there was an inference by Nafi' and others, which I already told you, seeped its way into the Maliki school, where they accepted that the upper limit for the age of a child is 15. In fact, if you say that the age of 15 is a child's age, then that would be in my favor, because I'll say to you then that would define
the hadith is
you can marry
Muhammad.
Anyway, look, what I'm saying
the hadith is quoting Muhammad.
He didn't say that. Anyone, what did he say? What did he say that?
I've read it out
Go on,
before.
what
The
did he say?
Messenger of Allah inspected me on the battlefield on the day of Uhud,
Yeah, okay.
and I was 14 years old.
Right.
He did not allow me to take part in the fight.
Yeah.
He inspected me on the day of Kandak.
Okay.
I was 15 years old, and
Okay.
he permitted to fight. Nafi said, I came to Umar bin Abdul,
Yeah.
who was then caliph, and narrated this tradition to
So where
him.
does it say the Prophet said anyone below the age of
So
15?
what's the tradition, bro?
You just said that. Okay. Did you understand
who
this
gives
guy?
traditions in
Yeah,
Islam?
Okay, you have.
Wouldn't that be
with
Mohammed?
all due respect, you have a comprehension issue here.
No, I
With all
don't.
due respect, because you said that the Prophet
is-
said something. Words.
This is what Muhammad said.
What did he say?
It's a tradition from him.
He didn't say anything in that hadith.
He said, surely this is a demarcation
Who's he?
between
Who's
a
he?
minor
Who's
and a
he?
major.
Who's
It's
he?
not
It's
Umar
Nafa.
ibn
It's Nafa
Abd-
said that.
No, it doesn't say nothing.
It does say that. Read it all again. Read it all again, my friend. No, hold on.
No,
Let
it
me read it again.
says he came to
No,
Umar.
read the whole thing again.
Why am I reading it all again?
No, read it all again.
Yeah, read it again.
Read it again.
The Messenger
No,
of
hold
Allah
on. No, I know what it
inspected me on the battlefield on the day of Uhud.
Yes.
And I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
He did not allow me to take part in the fight.
Yeah.
He inspected me on the day of Kandak, and I was 15 years old, and he permitted me to fight.
Yeah.
Nafi said, so he's talking about Nafi now. Yeah, fine. I came to Umar Abd al, you're going to let me finish the thing. Al-Aziz, who was then caliph, and narrated this tradition to him. Who's the tradition from? Muslims, answer the question. Who's the tradition from?
Come on, please. Do me a
No,
favor.
answer the question. Who's the tradition from?
What tradition?
Where do you lot get your traditions from?
Now, listen, calm down a bit. Calm down, please.
No, Hijab. Where do you
Calm
get your
down,
traditions
please.
from?
Calm down.
You
Wait,
get them
wait,
from
are we
Muhammad.
speaking
So
of
Muslims get
the
their traditions
Prophet
from
in that
Muhammad.
hadith?
So
There's no word-
Muhammad was saying.
Okay, no, Muhammad didn't say anything in that hadith.
So where did this come from?
Okay, let me explain something to you, please. Yeah? No, stop doing this. Just stop. You're showing your own desperation. You're desperado.
There is no desperation, bro.
You are
I'm reading
desperate.
what it
You are
says.
desperate.
Where do your traditions
Okay,
come
let
from,
me explain something to you. For something to be narrated upon the Prophet ﷺ as something that he said, it would have to have key words. The words are like sami'atu, I heard from the Prophet, or qala, or he said. None of those keywords are there.
So why was
Hold
this?
on.
Why was this
Or
written
an as
down?
well.
Why
Yeah.
was this written down?
Let me explain to you. This hadith, even in the English that you've read, does not say, for all the GCSE students that are doing English literature
That's
comprehension.
funny because you're not even GCSE level at this point.
Fine. I can, I can talk about that. No problem.
It is what it is, bro. It's not my fault you don't understand
I'm
what
not
the
GCSE
tradition
level.
is.
I told my
Because
professors
in
that
Islam
also.
you have tradition.
When they gave me a
most of
a
your
degree.
sources come from traditions.
What are your qualifications, by the way?
What's my qualifications? Well, I'm a university student. I don't need to tell you the rest of that.
Okay, so you have not graduated yet.
No, I haven't.
All right, I've got 4 degrees,
That's fine.
so I'm higher than you, right?
That means nothing.
So why?
I didn't
no,
mean
no,
what?
No, you
It's
just
psychology.
Hold on.
That means nothing.
No, hold on.
You don't even know what I'm studying. I'm not going to tell you anyway. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
No,
What do you mean, excuse me? It has nothing to do with what I'm
You just
saying.
said I'm GCSE student level, so I have to prove to you that I'm not.
Well, come
higher
on,
than
bring
you.
the degrees. You haven't improved anything.
Okay, no problem. I'll bring them next
Okay,
time.
so now can we get back to the point?
Next thing is, we'll get back to the point.
Because we're just going on a
Since I've now put you in your
It
place.
says here,
Now,
he,
let's move
you
on.
haven't put me anywhere,
Where did
bro.
the Prophet say it?
He said,
Where did he say it?
surely this
Who
is
said?
demarcation
Who's he?
between a minor and a major.
Never said that.
Right. Bro, the tradition comes from Muhammad.
Okay. Now you're acting the fool. Either you are the fool or you're acting it, but I don't care.
No,
Look, now let's move
this
on.
is your hadith.
All right, fine.
This comes from
Okay,
your prophet.
well,
So
did he say it?
unless people just write hadith
No
for the
problem.
sake of it
No problem.
and just
Okay,
quote random
okay.
man
I'm done.
for no good reason,
John.
this comes from your prophet.
Okay, fine, no problem. Thank you very much.
So if it comes from your prophet,
He's not.
your prophet
He didn't say
said,
it. He didn't say that.
you know it is what it is. But this hadith says that those who are younger than...
Doesn't say that.
Well, the hadith says that.
Doesn't say that.
The hadith says
No, it doesn't.
those who are younger than 15 are children. That's what the hadith
No,
says.
that's what Nafa said.
The hadith says that.
And what Nafa meant, like what is the contemporary Maliki opinion, is that the upper limit for adulthood is 15. That's what it means. Now we've
Doesn't even say that in the verse, mate.
It's not even a verse. Just move on. You're
Doesn't say
wasting
that
my
here
time
in
as
the
well,
hadith.
like your friend.
Well, seriously.
I mean, you're wasting my time. You haven't even got